joining the Navy was the smartest decision I ever made.
I agree.
100% the smartest decision I ever made to get out of the
Without
town.
a doubt.
And to the fact, so, we talked about, with your parents and everything that went on. Like, before I joined the Navy, I had a house with two of my best friends. Both of those guys are dead now. Like, I'm 38. I just turned 38 last 2 weeks ago or whatever. They were both a year younger than me. Both of them died in their mid-30s. Like, that's when you talk about getting out of a shitty situation. The Navy changed my life.
Welcome to the Your Peak Life podcast. Let's conquer the summit of life and reach the apex of our potential.
Welcome, everybody, back to the Your Peak Life podcast. We started off with the ownership group of Iron Valley, but now we're going to put a spin on it. People might not know, but we're 100% veteran owned, right? We all served in the United States Navy. Some of us retired, old salty dogs over there. Edwin, how many years?
23
years of service.
One of us. It's just one of us.
Yeah, you're the Lone Ranger, bro.
Not some.
Congrats to you.
Made it to the end.
Yeah.
I did.
So we're just going to talk about kind of how the Navy impacted our lives and the journey we took via the Navy to get where we are right now. So I'll just kind of open the floor up. Whoever wants to take the lead.
I mean, I'll start off since,
That's a long story. You sure you want to go first?
23 years?
That's the longest.
We can start with the shortest.
Go ahead.
He's like, you
No, I'm going to let you rep it.
Yeah. So I don't have a horror story for the Navy, to be honest with you, or anything along those lines. A lot of times when you talk to veterans, they talk about maybe bad leadership or negative times. And since I came in, I was around phenomenal leaders. I was around my first ship. It was a family. It was a pre-com unit. I remember knowing everyone's wife's name on my ship. Pre-com DDG 72, USS Mahan. Was about 300 sailors on board total, officer and enlisted. And it was a family. I had good leaders. I had people from all over the world, and everyone kind of pushed each other to be like the next level. And from that, first ship, I still have some of my closest friends and relationships. And throughout, I kind of used that first ship, and that kind of guided me towards the rest of my career. I've had good commands, bad commands, blah, blah, blah. But ultimately, the Navy gave me structure. It gave me administrative skills. It gave me the ability to learn how to speak and motivate people. And it taught me how to capture or capitalize on people's strengths, right? In order to run, I was a senior chief in the Navy. I ran departments of up to, 300 people at a point. And in order to run a successful department or a division, no matter what organization you're in, you have to learn how to capitalize on people's strengths, right? How to get a mass group of people headed towards one direction. And that's really what the Navy gave me. And I think that translated perfectly into what we do here today. My administrative skills, a lot of the structure that I have on a daily basis came from the 23 years of service.
Right.
The brotherhood that I had in the Chiefs Mess, using, which really comes down to a bigger network, right? Reaching out to different people who have different connections and may be able to assist you, which it's the same in real estate, right? You're reaching out, you're building relationships with other people in other industries.
So before you go into the network, because I know that's a big thing about who you are and how you build your business, I want to actually talk about what you were saying before about strengths. So there's a train of thought or a school of thought. Some people think that, identify your weaknesses and work on your weaknesses. Make your weaknesses better, right? But then there's another train of thought that says, fuck the weaknesses, figure out what you're really good at and do that better. Yes. So what do you think about that as a military leader, as someone who led, large groups of people, and you talk about working on other people's strengths? What's your take on something like that?
Well, I say when you're working on your strengths and you're building that, your weaknesses also get sharpened by the new rooms that you go into, right? When you're operating just in a qualification, right? I'm striving to get a qualification or a designation. Now I'm in a room with other individuals who have those designations, and they're sharpening their skills. And just by being in proximity to other people, some of your weaknesses or some of the things that you struggle with, sometimes they have the answers. So I think just focusing on what you're good at, eventually the things that you're bad at, you're gonna have to work on to get to the next level. But sometimes in life, your experiences has a way of sharpening those things that you're not so good at.
So it kind of brings it, like pulls them along as
Correct.
as your lid is rising, it's pulling up the other stuff too.
Absolutely.
I think I have a comment for that too, though. I think that people get caught up in being perfect, right? If you look at
Nobody in the Navy's perfect, by the way.
absolutely not, but if you just look at from a senior chief or a chief perspective, running a whole department, what's the first thing you tell people when you say, "Give me your brag sheet from your eval"? What's the first thing you tell them? You guys all know. What do they put on that sheet?
Number one.
No, like
What do you mean?
3 strengths,
Oh.
3 weaknesses,
Oh, yeah,
right?
yeah.
Right.
Areas are imp-
So you're
Talking about
always
your
you're
midterm.
always training these people to identify what's wrong with me versus what am I really good at.
Right.
So to me, it's like, why are you always going to focus on the negative? It's like anything else. Why would I spend my time trying to do something that I know I suck at when I can become a professional at this? That's like Michael Jordan trying to play baseball while still in the league. No, he knew he had to leave, right? So why would you only focus on the weaknesses or think that you have to become perfect to be the best version of yourself? And that couldn't be further from the truth. You should be able to utilize resources for those weaknesses and become an expert in the areas that you're good at. That's my take on it. Why focus on my weakness if I can help so many more people if I focus on my strength? But if I can identify my weakness and bring people with me that fill those holes, now we're operating
Yeah,
at your
because
peak
that's
life.
the whole Navy. It's like it's a team sport.
right. Absolutely.
Like
What
the whole
was it one team, one fight? Was that what the mantra
That
was back
was.
then? Accelerate your life? I don't know.
There was definitely
Yeah.
accelerated.
It keeps changing.
I mean, it's changed 22
yeah.
times.
when June went in, it
Forged
might have
by
been
the
like a
sea.
World War II advertisement or
Yeah,
something.
he was wearing jeans
97.
in boot camp, bro.
I was.
Them
Bugle Boys were
dungarees.
still in, right?
Dungarees.
Dungarees.
Dungarees. I rock them. I'm proud to say it. I rock them happily.
It's funny. Like I used to be like, damn, them old ass dunk, and now I'm like, damn, them old ass utilities.
Damn them old ass NWUs.
Damn,
like,
them old ass everything because it's changed so much.
Yeah, no, but I mean, like the military. Just I'm not gonna say the Navy, but the military in general. It's just like it helps you structure your life. Also, though, there's some positives.
Absolutely.
I was all over the place.
Yeah.
100%.
Public speaking, training, all of those things. Those are as you go up in rank in the military, you get these extra duties that in turn help you on the outside world.
Absolutely.
I will gladly tell anybody who asks that joining the Navy was the smartest decision I ever made.
I agree.
100% the smartest decision I ever made to get out of
Without
the
a
town.
doubt.
And to the fact, so we talked about with your parents and everything that went on. Like before I joined the Navy, I had a house with 2 of my best friends. Both of those guys are dead now. Like I'm 38. I just turned 38 last 2 weeks ago or whatever. They were both a year younger than me. Both of them died in their mid 30s. Like that's when you talk about getting out of a shitty situation. The Navy changed my life. Now, is it something I stuck with for 23 years and retired? No. Do I wish I would have? Some days. But no, I mean, it was by far the best decision I ever made for me. It made me who I am. Like I was an adult. I joined the Navy at 21, but I grew up. Like I became a man like that 6 years I was in the Navy.
Yeah, it definitely gets you out of the elements. For me, it just took me away from all of that. Exactly what you said. Like it was like, I stay here, I'm in trouble. It's like I ain't have shit going on.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Like, let's be honest. Many people join for different reasons. Yes, patriotism. Some people jump for that. Me, I just needed to get the fuck away.
Yeah, bro. I was trying not to go to jail. Like,
Right. So it's like, and at the same time, also, I did have a kid at 16. So it's like, I got to change my life. For all the parents that may be listening, like that first kid is life changing.
Yeah, I couldn't agree more.
So it's like, what do I need to do? Right. This ain't working. And that's the other thing. It's just self-analyzing yourself. It's like, I got to get away. And I would walk past this recruiter every day on my way. And Edgar, When are you going to join? Edgar, when are you going to join? Shout out to that guy. I joined. So
Shout out to that guy.
but I joined because he pitched me the benefits. You know, that's the salesman, right? Those recruiters. It was like, look, we can get you some housing. You don't have to worry. Bring your cars. Bring everything with you. You know, we'll help your family. So I was like, that was my way out. That was my ticket out. Now, once I got in, different times, my first tours were like pre 9/11. So it was a different world, you know. And
Damn, how old are you, bro?
42.
I didn't know you were pre 9/11.
Well, that I joined straight from A school, C school, straight to like my first deployment. So I got to see that. And then, of course, 9/11, all the wars. And then it was just deployment after
You
deployment.
joined in what, 09 or 99?
99,
99,
to
okay.
2007.
Dang, bro. Y2K? Crazy.
Yeah.
So
what-
Y2K in the Navy? I bet that was nuts,
Hold
bro.
on,
Tell us,
Y2K
what
in the
was that
Navy,
like?
being in IT.
Oh, man.
I was Y2K in the
crazy.
Navy in Las Vegas.
That had to be
Like, let's be
crazy.
clear. I wasn't even, LA to Las
Yeah,
Vegas.
so
That's
you
our
guys
backyard.
experienced the real Navy is what we're saying.
Right.
Yeah. My first tours were Australia, Sydney, and Perth. Like that was the first times I touched foreign land. And but to bring it back, I mean, it manned me up. You know, I was all over the place. Gave me some structures. Like, hey, at anything, I always tell my little cousins and my family members, like, if you ain't got nothing going on, go do 4 years. No high school diploma, you still get out and make a good living as a contractor somewhere. If like, stop wasting your time. Like you're going around in circles over here for nothing. I still got, and I think we talk about it. Like we still got family members that are in the same place, living in the same houses with their parents,
Doing the same shit.
doing the same shit. And you surround yourself with those people, so you're not going to get very far.
Yeah. Well, for both of you, how long did you serve?
5 years, 4 months, and 8 days.
You weren't counting, were you?
8
Edgar?
years.
8 years?
8 years.
Okay.
Yeah, I think I'm the shortest tenured here.
Yeah, I did 12 years, 9 months.
Let's hear from Eric. I know he's U.S. Nav all the way.
No, I mean,
Usnavi.
a lot of people hear me say like I didn't like the military, right? A lot of things that I have today come from that. But my journey to the military was a little different. You know, I worked at IHOP in the morning, and then at night I would either go from Denny's or Cracker Barrel. So I had 3 jobs. 16 years old. I bought an '85 S10 Blazer. It was a lowrider.
I know
Had the switches, and
Florida style.
Florida style for sure. But the wiring was garbage. You know, I didn't know about painless wiring harnesses. I thought you just had to fix the wiring. Asked everybody, hey, who knows how to do wiring? Come help me. Nope. Well, my older brothers, 4 brothers were all in the military. I said, okay, I'm going to go learn how to do wiring. To this day, I still don't know how to wire. So didn't learn any wiring.
But that's why you joined the Navy?
But that's why I joined the Navy.
Damn.
Like it wasn't, you know, because I was actually enrolled in MMI, which is a Motorcycle Mechanic Institute. And I was about to go to that. And then I was like, you know what? Let me get out of Daytona Beach. Like, let me go see something. And then my dad told me, don't marry that little girl.
You ain't listen, did you?
I didn't listen a bit.
Got me a couple sales, though.
I mean, I got, you did. But to be honest, I mean, I wouldn't have my kids for that, right? So like,
Absolutely.
I joined the Navy. We got married. We had 2 kids. Learned a lot. Met some really good people. My favorite Master Chief, I actually sold him a house and sold his house when he left here. Met my now wife through there, right?
Your original business partner?
My original business partner.
Sitting right here.
So you can't be mad at what the military's given us, right? It did make us grow up. It made you a man. It gave you the discipline, some more than others, because I was always the anti-establishment.
Sea lawyer.
Now, I wouldn't say sea lawyer, but
Yeah.
anti-establishment.
He was
where-
just very like, I don't drink the Kool-Aid.
right. Yeah,
He's like, I'm good at my job.
right.
Don't run your fucking mouth to me. That kind of thing. Like, I'm a grown man. Don't treat me like a child. Like, if it's 2:30 and we don't have any work to do, we can go home because we're on salary. We don't get paid hourly. You know, he's just very
Yeah, I didn't-
pro
I didn't-
sailor, really. He didn't want the bullshit.
Right. I mean, I wrote evals. I wrote awards for my shop every single time. So I was always there for the people. But then I realized I was always pouring out into other people. And this is where it kind of ended for me was, you know, I always gave everybody else the energy and never looked at myself, never took care of myself. So I remember talking to Jackie and saying, I'm going to put this car in the median and literally I don't care. And she said, she gave me the option. She said, do what you need to do to get out, or you're going to have to deal with it and go see somebody. Right. So now I don't tell anybody to do this, but went and got a DUI. You remember the time I got the DUI? 10 days later, I was out the Navy. So would I tell a sailor to do that? Absolutely not. But mentally, I had to look out for me. Like, did I pay the consequences in a point where I didn't have a driver's license for a year? I mean, I bought that Mercedes without even driving it and didn't drive it for a whole year. So, I mean, I had to be selfish. I had to understand that there's more to life than be a retired sailor. Not saying that people that retire from the Navy is a bad thing, but there's more to life than being miserable just to say you're patriotic or just to say you made it to the finish line.
Well, I would say I 100% understand, but I think a lot of people, in my perspective, that do 20 plus years, is more of situational.
It is 100%.
Right? You get used to a first and 15 paycheck.
Right.
And then a lot of us join at 18, and that comfort of
And that's all you know.
yes, the stability, that those 3 extra years that I did, I can admit it now, it was straight fear.
Right.
It was being scared of getting out. And one day I just got to the point to where, hey, I got to do it. But it was scary. So I don't, doing 20 years, a lot of times from the population, people think that it's a sense of patriotic, being a patriot, or you're living for this country or for this organization. But the reality is that most people are just living for themselves and just trying to make it.
Right.
Yeah, it's a job.
It's a job.
It's a job.
I mean, I'll ask you a question though. When you made that decision to retire, at that point, were you treated differently?
Me, I wasn't, because of
Who you were, where you
Because of-
sat
yeah,
on a totem pole kind of thing?
yeah, I was the number 1 senior chief on the USS.
Right. But you have seen where people are deciding to go home and it turns into
100, a lot of times in my career, right? And no matter what rank you are.
correct. Like, oh, how are you going to live without? How are you going to do it? So that's ingrained in you from the day you enter. That's another thing. Like, if you have somebody that performs at the level that you performed at, or that I performed at, or was as proficient at their job as he was, like, yeah, Eric didn't want to lead a whole department, but if you had a problem in that work center, he was the guy that was going to fix it. Why does that not have weight? Because why is it a popularity contest? Why are you feeding people bullshit?
It's the
Like, don't tell me I
politics.
can't make it without you, because I can get up and go to work at 5 a.m. anywhere in the world.
Well,
Yeah.
the people that are usually saying that is because they don't think that they can.
Right. Deflecting their.
Correct.
Yeah. That's
Because you got to think, the reason why we're here, this podcast, if you think about it, is because we did get out of that stigma. We are entrepreneurs. We have done it. It is possible. The majority of the population isn't like that.
Yeah, it goes back to like also, I mean, people don't even want to move, right? Like that's
Well, so it's funny because I was having this thought as you were talking, and I think it's just because it gets easy. Like,
is. It's a routine.
For people like us. Like, bro, you want to talk about playing the game? Like,
Man,
the Navy was
bro,
easy, bro.
listen.
Like,
I couldn't stand this motherfucker, yo. I'm telling you, I'm pulling 12, 14, 16 hours. I'm ship's company. I'm dual qualled. I'm EP. I'm the guy. This motherfucker's getting off at 10 o'clock. He's at the house eating cereal in his underwear. And I'm like, he's my neighbor.
you made E4
Yo.
first time up, got knocked back down, made E4 first time up again, made E5 first time
Ain't
up.
never been out to sea.
EP, went
Ain't
to
ne-
mass, got busted
Listen.
down, the whole nine.
my wife did over 20 years and I still got more seat time than her.
Right.
Crazy, bro.
Right. But like,
Like,
it was easy. And for people like
she had
us,
that career.
Right. So, I mean, you hated it, I get it, but like, it was still easy. Like, it wasn't hard.
Well,
So
he
if you-
only hated aspects of it, though.
So
you know what I
just think
mean?
about
Like,
how easy it was for people like us. If you're, not as adept at playing the game as we are,
Yep.
but you get a guarantee first and the 15th, you're an okay person, like, you got free house, you got free housing.
good- it's good job
like,
security.
People just get lazy, and it's exactly what you said.
Yeah.
Like, it's comfort, it's lazy. I don't want to move. I don't have to do
So
anything.
so
Like,
I mean to bring it back to me, it was like with the situation that I had then. It was like, hey, I'm going to join these 4 years. You go to college. We have a steady income. I'm going to get out. By this time, you should have some kind of a career with my significant other at the time. Well, we're getting to that 4-year mark, and she ain't done shit.
So guess what?
And guess what? I got to re-up for 4, right?
Yeah.
Fast forward after that 4, it's like I changed all of that around, right? She was out the picture, handled that, whatever. So now when my 4 years are up, it's like, all right, I'm out. But also, to your point, I was the same way. Once I was in it, yes, it was fun. It was easy. I didn't like the little politics, right? I was never into it. Chiefs eat here, officers eat here. Y'all stay down there. Don't talk to this guy. Like people, and it's also, it depends on the command. Because my first command was dope. Officers enlisted. We all hung out, partied together. Got
fraternized. What's the word?
Fraternization for
Fraternization.
sure.
Different Navy.
Different
Different Navy. I mean, we
9/11.
were allowed to fight.
Oh,
We were allowed
okay.
to fight. So and
I feel
also
like this is like a guy telling me this story.
No,
from
but
the
it was-
Navy in the 70s. It seems like a whole different time.
no, but we were also all male command.
Oh,
All male commands.
fuck again! Like there were
So
no women allowed in the
there was-
military in the
yeah,
40s. Like,
because this is where it gets old because the USS Constellation wasn't built for women, right? We were doing the last 2 tours on that ship, and so it was all male. So it was different in that aspect where it's like we're done working on the flight deck, shirts come off, it's hot, jets are turned off, and we're just chilling, working.
Yeah, different environment.
Different environment. I have a problem or an issue with you, talk it out or swing it out. I need you guys to shake hands. Let's nip this in the butt now.
Because we got work to do.
Yes. Let's get to it. Let's get the work done. Boom, boom, boom. Then I go to my second command,
Completely
RAG
different.
Squadron, completely different. Now the politics start coming into play, and I don't know how to play them.
Right.
And I don't want to play them because, again,
That's because you're not a fake individual.
well, my goal,
Like, you know
my
what I'm
goal
saying?
also is
Like-
not. My mind was never set on doing 20 years. Period.
Right.
So there's that. It's just like I was never going to be sold on it, and I just never was going to do it.
Right.
That I knew. So, but what I did do is I negotiated a deal where it's like, hey, my last tour, Edgar trained these people up. Well, the last 2 months of deployment, kind of like a joke. After that, you just go hang out. When we got home, the last couple of months of my Navy career, I was just phoning in. Like, they were that cool with me on my way out. But I did my job, my little agreement in the command. Yeah.
He said mine was
Mine
different.
was a little different.
yeah, he was under 24/7 surveillance the last 10 days.
Yeah.
before he
what's-
got
what's-
out.
Well, look. I got a wet and reckless and a DUI while I was in.
Right. I mean, what was sad though, like how many people do we know that had multiple DUIs, multiple drinking issues, being active duty,
Still active duty right now.
still active
Yeah.
duty? And that's where I think certain things bother me because when I was getting divorced, like it broke me, right? I finally broke down. I drank religiously. Like, you couldn't find me sober. It took probably 3 years.
Where was the help then, though? Like
There
as
was
far
no help, right?
correct. As far as leadership,
my
you know what I
leadership
mean?
at that point in my career, when I told my command, I had just checked in, told my command, hey, my wife just asked for a divorce. She bounced on me. I got kids. I needed like a couple days to find a babysitter. The first thing that chief said to me was, well, you should file a hardship discharge. Instead of saying, how could I help you?
Right.
The
The old, oh, your kids didn't come in your sea bag
Right.
bullshit.
And then they hit me with, well, you should go deploy because you need to get that shit off your mind. Go deploy. So I went to Bahrain. Then I had my best friend, Bam, going to my house to chase dudes out of my house all the time. The drugs that were going into my house all the time. And did the command help then? Absolutely not. There was no, well, let's send you home, get you right. Because we went to Bahrain. HM15, it's a training command. Even their deployments are training.
How many years did you have in when that
When that happened, 10 years.
I'll say you're further in. Okay.
Right. So I was already in 10 years. And then, it was just one of those things where when you were looking for help, it was never there. But then I was always that guy. If you came in and asked me,
You was helping everybody else.
hey, bro, I got a drinking problem. I know you've been dealing with it. What would you do? 1, don't tell your command. 2, go out to this place and get help. It's gonna come out your pocket, but the Navy will never know. And it's sad that you have to do that to keep that mark off your profile.
Yeah.
It sucks to hear those stories because I've had like the opposite experience in my career. You know, I've had people that really went above and beyond. I got a DUI as a chief, still may senior chief, and it was about those people around me. And there are programs, right? But you also get kind of looked upon a certain way, right? When you explore those options, and that's just the real behind it, being a warrior, right?
Right.
And that stigma. But it's also those situations is what motivated me to kind of, you know, never be that type of leader, and that really translated perfect into what we do here, because I try to live by, preach by what I say, my words. So
that's one of the topics I actually wanted to make sure we covered today was I have established my leadership style by process of elimination. Honestly, like I figured out from the people that I worked with, the people in the military, like the good ones and the bad ones, the traits that I like from this guy, the traits that I don't like from this chief or this officer or whatever. And I took those, internalized them, and then that's how I treat people the way I would have wanted to be treated as a junior sailor. So process of elimination is how I've adapted to the leadership style that I have today. And I think most of us probably, without maybe not even realizing it, have done a lot of the same things. I think it's just human nature at some point, right?
Yeah, I mean, I feel like my position and situation differs slightly just because of the position I was put in at like 11 or 12 years old, of already leading other humans and taking care of other humans and nobody around giving you guidance or structure. So before I ever left for the Navy, which I joined when I was 17, but I was already from
Who signed your paperwork?
my dad's ex-wife. She was my guardian at the time. I call her mom, Kim.
Yeah,
you
yeah,
guys
yeah.
all met her
Yeah.
at my wedding. So
Just wanted to put that in the ether.
yeah,
'Cause this shit
she's
is deep, by the way. Like I'm loving this conversation. I hope you guys.
but
are.
she's the one that drove from Ohio to Massachusetts and basically saved my life. So, but when I was living with her, you know, her husband's in prison. She's got multiple children. She's working multiple jobs. I was the man of the house. So to me, working 2 or 3 jobs was normal at age 11 or 12 versus 17 to 21. So I just always kept doing that. For me, trying to set a good example or help somebody achieve something that was already normal to me because I was doing it every day with my sisters and even my friends around me. Like a majority of my friends from junior high or high school are dead from heroin overdoses, just like both of my parents. So I was always trying to coach people out of that path while I was finding my path. But I never lost that. Like it even got to a point in the Navy. Mo Brown, he's a maintenance officer, Jeff Brown, he told me one time in his office, he said, you know, I don't believe that leadership is a trainable trait. He said, I believe some are born with it and some simply aren't. And I strongly believe just the environment of my life made me a leader. The style of leader that I am, which is lead by example. If I can do it, you can do it too. The things that did change with the Navy and working with all of you guys was my delivery, right? We all know, right?
Yeah.
So my delivery, how I handle certain situations, the ability now to not overreact or react immediately and take that time to formulate a response and a plan and be educated in doing so. Like all of that came from the military and everybody that I know from the military, like, because it all came here to running the business.
I believe that too as well. I always tell people, I always give people the example. Think back to kindergarten. There was always a kid that was a leader.
Absolutely.
There was always
There's
a
always
leader.
one at the front of the line. There's always one helping you get your tray. There's always one that just leads other people.
Just the way it is.
There always is.
I left mast, got in the duty van. I was in Norfolk. I was in Naval Station Norfolk. They sent me to restriction at Dam Neck. I didn't have my shit. Like I'm in my dress blues. You guys had left. You guys had just left for deployment.
Yeah.
This was
that
in
the
07. It was in 07. They had just left for deployment. I was a fucking bum. I gave up that apartment and just moved in with the neighbor because he was my boy, right? Well, my LPO is like, we get in the duty van and I'm like, bro, like I don't have my phone charger. I don't have this. I don't have that. He's like, sorry, man. I'm like, bro, we live right over here off Little Creek. Like, can we just stop? We stop. I don't have my keys. The house is locked. So we got the duty van parked out front on Little Creek Road. LPO in the driver's seat, me and my dress blues breaking in the window to get in this house. My LPO held me down, bro. I broke in this dude's house, got my shit, left, and then he took me to restriction.
See,
But
so
but with all these captain masks and getting kicked out or getting out or whatever, like my boys that I consider my friends were still friends then and are still friends now. And you guys know, like I'm a big Niner fan, so I still travel with those guys. And the reason we hit these cities also is because every time we go there, there's friends there from the military.
Yeah.
Which is one thing that I do like. It's like I can't hit a state or city without not knowing somebody.
I
there.
think that's the coolest part about this company and running this company where we run it. I can walk through the halls at any one of these offices and there's a C story. There's other stories we probably will never even tell on air here, like how Eric met me. We can't tell y'all that because then I would incriminate
It's
myself.
2023. I swear
Yeah.
somebody said that somewhere.
Well, it doesn't make certain things legal on base, okay? But
Can't prove
everything here really is derived from the Navy. I bought my first house in Virginia Beach because I got stationed at Oceana, right? And then I saw how the process went, and I figured, well, I could probably do that. So I got my license, and then everybody,
Shout out Anna Staylor for holding Mike down as his first buyer's agent.
yeah,
Oh shit.
Ocean Lakes, Hillshire Way, yeah, my first house, man. So it just kind of was like, man, I can do that too. And then everybody at work started buying houses, and then everybody at work started also selling houses, and then now you have, I mean, even if you just go through Facebook, bro, how many of those people are in real estate because of us?
There's quite a few.
And
There's
let's talk
a
about
lot,
how
man.
many referrals
There's a lot.
from those friends. that
Absolutely. So that's a huge part of it, and I still get the calls every season, bro. Like, hey, do you want to put a charge in my book? Hey, you want to come support the car wash? Hey, so like, don't get it twisted. There's people out there that showed me the love and respect. They just weren't going to put their career on the line. That's fine. I understand. But I'm built different than that. You know what I mean? So for me, those people that did show up and those people that did speak the truth and the ones that held me down, like, that's the Navy that I would have stayed in. You know what I mean? But it was time to go. It was just time to go.
So to bring it home, let's go around the room. Let's say the number one thing you learned in the Navy that you've applied to business. Or it doesn't have to be in a prioritized, but what's one thing, one skill, one trait, one characteristic that you learned while serving in the Navy?
I'm gonna give you my top one right out the gate because it's
Anybody else want to go first?
It's very simple. It doesn't matter.
Aye, Chief.
Just lead from the front. Lead from the front. Like that's the biggest thing I learned from the Navy was lead from the front. The best leaders that I had actually done the job and were willing to show you how to do it. When it turned into, oh, you just go do that and I sit at a computer, that's where they failed.
Yeah. Facts.
But my experience was the best leaders were the ones that have no shit been there, done that, and willing to get in the trenches with you. And that has been the secret sauce for us as a unit running this firm. Everybody knows we sell houses. Everybody knows we're not feeding them bullshit. Everybody knows that we have solutions to problems. Everybody knows they can call us, right? That's what I learned. That was the biggest thing. Leading by example. Fuck everything else. Lead by example and be honest.
I would agree with Mike, but I would add my success in the Navy was built off my network, right? If I needed a part, I knew who to contact and supply. If I needed admin, I had to hook up an admin, right? If I
So you do
needed
that
a
same
piece
thing
of
here.
gear
Yeah.
worked on ahead of another piece of gear, I knew the head ET.
Right.
Right. So I would say that is where I sharpened my networking skills and kind of like, capitalizing on people's strengths and what they're good at.
So would you call that your resourcefulness?
I would say that, yes, my resourcefulness comes from the Navy.
I would make that a strong 2 for me. For sure.
Yeah, learning how to get things done.
Knowing that you don't always need to answer, but you can find it.
Correct.
Mine was team, the camaraderie.
Okay.
I mean, that was the biggest thing. I keep going back to that first command because that's what it felt like. Like
Everybody had the same mission.
everybody had the same mission. I mean, to the point where like we got to, like first detachment, like we were in Vegas. Like we're going to Vegas to go work, right? But let's be honest, the Navy sometimes does these things, like Key West, Florida for Fanny Week, right?
Or Fallon.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So I mean, we're in Nellis, and it's like we got in a big rumble on these streets, and it's the whole first shift, and we're calling everybody,
It's the whole first shift.
officers, everybody.
Yeah, that's how them AOs roll. We
And-
know how they
no,
roll.
No, I'm talking about the command.
Oh, the whole command.
The command. We went at it, and on the way back, we're getting chased through the Vegas streets in our little vans,
minivan?
the vans from the and we're calling people, and they were outside waiting to see if these people made it. Chased us all the way back to the hotel, and they're out there with broomsticks, socks with rocks in them. The chiefs, the officers, everybody.
Yo, they down to ride.
We go into a room, and it was just like, were the police involved? No. All right, get your ass to bed. But it was we worked hard. You kind of build that momentum, and that came from camaraderie. It was like I'm working with you.
Yeah.
So yes, I know you're a pilot, but he's out here like asking questions, and that's what I took from him. And some of those pilots, it was just like they were asking, like they really want to know more about this aircraft, the mechanics about it, the basic shit.
They're the ones flying it. Like, you know what I'm saying? So you got to have a certain type of relationship with the person that's tending to your machinery.
Yeah,
Like,
and so they treat us all as equals, and that's how I treat everybody here. The top producer, not producer, everybody gets a handshake.
what's Eric got?
My biggest thing is probably just to keep showing up. Like I think people don't understand what that will do for you. Like the bad days, the good days, you're sick, your kid's sick, you're tired, you can't open your eyes, but you kept showing up.
So
Like,
that's
we didn't have the option.
there you go. Yeah.
But now, as a civilian or whatever we want to call it these days, a veteran, you just keep that energy. You keep that mentality. Like I have to show up.
And not only that, like now you're showing up for yourself.
You're showing up for yourself. Like you're actually going to see a benefit from this.
Yeah.
And not only that, but if you keep showing up, you're leading from the front. From the front, you have all the resources for our junior people that really want to learn this craft.
Yep.
We have the teamwork, so it's all. But like for me, it's just always
To keep showing up.
Showing up.
That's a great point because as you said, in the Navy or any military branch, really, that's not optional.
Yeah, you don't have a choice.
Like-
it's funny. Someone asked me the other day. They're like, "Well, when you're sick, you just call off." I'm like,
No.
When you're sick in the military, you go throw up on the floor.
And then they tell
And
you to
then
go
they
to
send you
sick call,
medical.
and then you come back with a cold pack and you work the rest of the fucking day.
Yep.
That's how it really works. Like
Yeah. So
day off, like what?
Yeah, no.
So it's hard for me to take a day off. Like it's hard for me not to show up. I'm always on.
So let's
is
flip
something I
it
need to
then.
learn.
Let's flip it then. Since you want to talk about what's translated the best, let's talk about what hasn't. You know how hard it is to talk to people that didn't serve in the military sometimes?
Yeah.
Because we're so high motor, high production people, and we don't understand that it shouldn't take you 3 hours to do that. That takes me 20 minutes. What's wrong?
Right.
And it's not okay to be that way.
The empathy's kind of gone.
Yeah,
Yeah.
but we realize in growth, like that's not okay, right? We have to be able to connect with everybody that we're involved with. We can't just expect that they understand. Like just because we all in this room know what it's like to give somebody 100 hours a week for pennies, doesn't mean that we can expect other people to do the same.
Right.
You know what I mean? Like, or just because you can do something in an hour, well, if you're subbing that out, you can't expect them to be you. That's been the hardest part since we talked about the stuff that transitioned. I want to talk about what hasn't. It's very hard sometimes being the only guy up at 4 a.m. for no reason. You know,
Well, not to digress, Andy. What do you got?
Well, to that point, I got a job. This was a few years after I had been out of the Navy, but I got a job working in a factory, a paper cardboard factory, printing place. And I remember very clearly the day that I had so much work that I was struggling. And I'm the type of guy, like, I don't need anybody's help. I'm going to get it done. I'm going to knock it out. When I finally got to my breaking point and I stopped and I asked a dude for help. And this grown-ass man looked me in my face and said, "Nah, and went outside to go smoke a cigarette. And I was like, what the fuck am I doing? Like, none of these people understand. None of these people speak the same language. None of these people are on the level that I need to be on.
Yep.
And it was very clear to realize, like, to that point, like, you can't expect you from other people.
Right.
And as soon as I
Yeah.
stopped expecting myself from other people, I found myself a lot less disappointed.
Yeah. Well, to that point, I can tell you that was probably the hardest thing for me. And I think everybody in this room will agree. Like, I'm like, why the fuck is nobody else's motor on right now? And that's not okay. That's me dealing with me internally. Like, so I've compartmentalized those time blocks. Like, I try not to blow up the group chat at 4 a.m. anymore. You know what I mean? Like,
I appreciate
I'll hold those thoughts and I'll take notes and I'll bring them up at the meeting instead. And just like all that stuff, man. Like, it's like my wife asked me, so are you like upset when people aren't as productive as you? And I had to think about it. Like, well, fuck, I guess I am.
Yeah. And it's not
And I
fair-
shouldn't
it's
be.
not fair
Yeah,
to
no, and
everybody
you're like
else.
the
Yeah.
last one to find out.
But it's like it's not my right to put those expectations on other people.
Yeah.
Unless they ask for them, which is now why like structuring things like the training or the one-on-ones. Like if you come in and you seek that, I'll give it to you.
Right.
But I'm not in the business anymore of like, let me put my foot on your neck till you fucking figure
Everybody's the same. Everybody should be doing.
out. Yeah, because they're not. Everyone's got to be treated differently. Like
I mentioned it earlier, and to that point, that'll kind of be my cap on the conversation. Is just the process of elimination. That's probably the number one thing that I took from the military, both as a leader, right? So I figured out what I didn't want to be as a leader, but I also applied that same mindset, that same process to just my overall happiness in life, figuring out what doesn't make me happy and eliminating it. Like, talk about focusing on strengths versus weaknesses. Like, I have found the things that make me happy and I focus on the things that make me happy, and I've eliminated the things that don't. Or I'm
100%.
working on eliminating the things.
it's like
that
you guys
don't.
asked me to go golf. Nah, I'll drive the cart
Right.
Because I
'cause
know
you're gonna get angry
that you're not going to enjoy yourself once I'm not enjoying myself. So
There you go. That's fair.
Like-
That's a
So I
very
got to
good
wrap it up.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's all I got.